I have a very interesting article that I would like to read to the community. This was written by Cheryl Walker, who was the late editor for the Globe. Reporter, excuse me. This was written and in the Globe on April 8th, 2004. And I think it's extremely pertinent to what we are seeing today. It states, groundbreaking for a new Clubhouse 7 in Gate 12 West was scheduled to commence in September. But Wednesday, GRF, with only one dissenting vote, John Fuller, postponed the Clubhouse proposal to consider for possible inclusion in 2005. The board also voted to allow General Manager Milton Johns to make a planned presentation on Clubhouse 7 in closed session after the regular meeting and to allow the mutual presidents to attend. For the last 3 years, Barrett worked to help design a Clubhouse 7 that would not only address those needs of the current bridge players in the community, estimated at more than 1,000, but the growing membership roles. Since 1996, I've heard a lot of promises, and today I've heard a lot of negative talk about Clubhouse 7, but I haven't heard any positives of what you will do for the Bridge Club. You're not doing anything for us. None of you are offering any solutions. Now there be no change. Both the United and Third boards asked the Golden Rain Foundation to defer the project. Opponents argued the project should be part of a master plan and that other priorities needed to be addressed first. Among the latter were the need to improve reserve balances. Where have you heard that? Escalating insurance costs, the funding of major infrastructure failures, and the need to balance Golden Rain against mutual needs. Does this sound familiar to anybody? Golden Rain Treasurer Richard Moss said, however, that the state of the union of the corporation was good. We are in good shape. Stop the hysteria. He pointed out that more than 1,000 new residents had come into Leisure World and boosted the price of Manners 3, 4, and 5 times what they'd sold for a decade ago. He said past Golden Rain boards had bucked criticism, making decisions which had proved very beneficial to the community, like opposing an El Toro airport. So don't say no to everything we do. Golden Rain director Harry Curtis said Golden Rain did not advocate Clubhouse 7 lightheartedly. He said a lot of people put a lot of effort into the proposal. Third director Roger Daisley said he respected the work but said that times have changed. Bridge player Beverly Feinstein contended though 1,000 bridge players should have a voice in decision-making too. The mutuals don't speak for us. End of the article. It's when I read this, it was like deja vu. All over again. Now, think about that. Also, what I would like to address is, first, there are copies of the current October Historian available for pickup here on the counter. And the reason it's there is because this month is dedicated to the trust and issues of direct election of GRF, which, as this article was, is the same as what's going on now. GRF direct election has been discussed many times in the past, and that article is very interesting to read in the Historian. So I advise you, if you have an interest, to pick one up. If you don't, if you're at home and you can't get one, then let us know and we'll see that you do get one. In fact, maybe we should put it on the website.
Good idea.
Let's put that on the website. Agree?
I so moved.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll have it put on the website so anyone can read it. The other issue I would like to address is centralized fitness. Last month I spoke about Clubhouse 2 renovation versus demolition and rebuild. We're getting an awful lot of criticism for centralized fitness. And like the Clubhouse 2 renovation project, we did not make a decision frivolously on the centralized fitness. When RBF brought their master plan to GRF, and it was approved as a guide for GRF for recreation policies and improvements in the future, there were 10 items, 10 projects that were prioritized and had a value that they placed based on needs, location, desires of the community. The number one project of that master plan was a fitness center. And we've received criticism because that number one project, as spelled out in the guidelines from RBF, included the repurposing of Clubhouse 1 Fitness Center. But let me explain what it actually said and why we chose to go in their alternative direction, which people tend to eliminate that there was even an alternative in that guideline. The RBF plan called for renovating Shuffleboard B to accommodate fitness classes, dance classes at Clubhouse 1. It also called for the demolition of the Clubhouse 1 equipment room, fitness equipment room, and the mini gym, and rebuilding a 15,000 square foot facility that would house a complete full gymnasium, a much smaller fitness equipment room, and lockers and showers needed for a fitness center, which is imperative according to their reviews today. It also called for turning the card room into a personal training room and dining rooms into card rooms. They called our dining rooms at Clubhouse 1 little used. Okay, so we looked at that as a board and we said, let's see how we can do that. The ad hoc committee looked at it and we found out that it really had some problems. First of all, what do you do while you demolish Clubhouse 1 Fitness Center now and the mini gym with all the classes and the people that go to that? It would take roughly 2 years from the time of demolition to the time we could open up the facility again for use by the community. Where would we put those people? What would we do for parking? Clubhouse 1, we already are stretching the limits of our parking. You build a new facility, it has to meet city code requirements for parking. We don't have any room for expansion of our parking at Clubhouse 1. Another problem. Next was, if you looked at the alternatives that the ad hoc committee had to review when they were making the decision on which way to go, the costs to do these projects under the RBF plan was far exceeded the cost of the facility that was recommended as a centralized fitness facility at Gate 16. So now we had higher costs, no parking. What do we do with the 268,000 people that use our fitness centers annually? So we went back to the drawing board and we looked at a centralized fitness location at Gate 16. And guess what we found? There was no parking problem there. We have plenty of acreage for parking. We don't have to close the Clubhouse One Fitness Center in order to build it. It can go on. Not only can it go on, the new fitness center at Gate 16 realistically would not be available for use for 3 years. And give or take, probably more give than 3, knowing this community. And while that is going on, Clubhouse One Fitness Center continues to go on. And guess what? 3 years from now, the decisions that will be made regarding Clubhouse One will be made by a different board, because most of the board members today will have been termed out or gone on to better things.
Retirement.
Hopefully. So at that time, it will be left up to that current board to decide what to do about Clubhouse One. Now, granted, in our master plan, we plan that Clubhouse One Fitness Center will close. But that's not truly up to us. Remember, that plan is a 5 to 10 year plan. And just like it took 6 or 7 years to get where we are today and 6 or 7 different boards, it's going to take several boards before we get to that 3-year mark and the decision whether or not to close Clubhouse One. I will tell you that RBF, when queried about whether or not it was wise to keep Clubhouse One Fitness Center open if we did do a centralized fitness, they said Clubhouse One will die a natural death. When you do a centralized fitness facility, you will have people wanting to go there and not use the old facility. So again, that is a decision that we will leave up to the board in 2016. And Larry says 15, 3 years. Okay. The other thing that we found when we looked at Gate 16 is we weren't limited to 15,000 square feet, which most of which would have been a gymnasium. The ad hoc committee, since this decision was made to centralize our fitness, chose not to build a full-size gymnasium, to keep the mini gym in the location at Clubhouse One. But we have increased the size that was recommended by RBF for the fitness center at Gate 16, which allowed us to put in all of the community fitness equipment, both from the 3rd floor here and from Clubhouse One, into one facility. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that in the RBF plan, they did recommend, when we redid Clubhouse One, that we should eventually close the fitness center here and move it someplace else. And then the question became, if we've built this at Clubhouse One, where do we put the fitness center upstairs? Do we build another facility for that? More money. So looking at Gate 16, we were able to increase the size and include an enclosed pool for aerobic activity, which has been a demand of this community for many years. We have received petitions, we have had requests through CAC. It is a much needed feature in this community. Yes, we could have looked at enclosing another pool, but it made sense to put, if you're building a new fitness facility with lockers and showers and to put a fitness pool over there made much more sense under the circumstances. You know what the difference, remember I mentioned that we had 2 alternatives that were very close. They scored these alternatives. The fitness center alternative at Clubhouse 1 scored 16.8 on their scale. The centralized fitness at Gate 16 was 16.7, a mere 1/10 difference, and all the screaming and yelling that we've heard about centralized fitness and not listening to the RBF master plan goes down the tubes when you look at 1/10 of a difference. So, to reiterate, this board, as well as the ad hoc committee, feels very strongly that the Gate 16 area provides the best opportunity to accomplish our goals in the most prudent manner possible. And we will leave it up to future boards whether they do satellites. That concludes my comments for today.